Welcome, everyone. This is the May 21st, 2026 Town of Pownell Planning Board meeting, the 20th. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Let's just get right into it. Approval of the minutes from March 18th. Do we have any changes from what was submitted? Anyone? No?
Move to approve as amended.
I second. All in favor? Okay. New business. We have Freeport Diesel and Marine hoping to take over the 614 Elmwood building. I think I'd start. You got is Freeport. You guys are here. Yeah. Perfect. Why don't we just start with who you guys are and what you're doing and what you're up to, and then we can go over what we need from you guys. Come up to the mic. Yep, that's all for the internet. Introduce yourself.
Okay. Hi, I'm Dominic Canonico. I own Freeport Diesel and Marine. Co-owner. My business partner Tucker ships out, and he's in Alaska currently. We've been in business since kind of opened the doors in early 21 in Freeport on Wardtown Road. We have a 2,100 square foot building there, and we've vastly kind of outgrown our space. I've been in the greater Pownell area since I was 12 years old. I lived on Layton Road in high school in Pownell. I've lived in Freeport the rest of the time, and I currently live in Durham on Brown Road. I've got 3 young children, 8, 4, they're almost 8, almost 5, and 7 months. So we're local. We're in the community. We're kind of all here, and I happened to be driving by going to New Gloucester one day a few months ago and saw that the building was for sale, and decided to inquire about it. It's kind of uniquely set up for what we do, and so it really fits our business model and business plan. The size of the building, the way it's laid out, the kind of large section in the back really is a kind of a key factor for us, being able to bring boats inside of a building to work on, because we do a lot of work over the winter, and being inside is really nice. So that's kind of the gist of it. We're out of space, and I've been casually looking at buildings, and that one popped up, and it's local to us, which is a big thing. We don't want to end up in Portland or Brunswick or something like that. We'd rather stay as close to home as possible.
Okay.
Yeah. Any questions on that or what we do? And
no, I think we'll probably get into that more as we're going.
Sure.
I just wanted to give you a chance to introduce yourself and your company.
Got it.
If you want, you could probably grab a seat so right now, my understanding of the property is that it has a special exemption or exception to house light manufacturing. It is also my understanding, and Tim, correct me if I'm wrong, that special exception goes with the property and not the owner, so that Dominic, the new buyer, the applicant, can take on that special exception for light manufacturing as long as he meets the Board of Appeals decision from 1989. So I think what we need to do is go through first. I want to try and be better at record keeping about all of these things. So the first thing I'd like to do is make sure that the planning board has authority to make this decision in the first place. And from my reading of the ordinances, 2077B, the planning board does have authority to rule on special exemptions. This is the boring part, folks. And that would fall under special exception B. Number 7. B. Okay. So from the, if we look then at section 500 for zoning districts, this is the village district. Under special exceptions, industry and manufacturing activities are allowed, which is what the BOA decided in 1989. 89, 96? Yeah, yeah. So the interesting thing about their decision is they put conditions, which I think are important for the discussion tonight. So I'll just read I'll read these conditions. So the first one is the building to be constructed be of single story and be less than 5,000 square feet in size, which was amended in 1996 to 10,568 feet. Does the applicant plan on increasing the size of the building at this point?
No, we don't.
Okay. And you can just hang out for a sec because I'm going to ask you just a couple of questions here.
Sure.
So we as the board would have no problem with one. The applicant seems to.
Can I ask one clarifying question? Did I see somewhere, were you thinking of building a little outside storage?
I get to that.
Oh, okay, sorry. Okay, sorry, that was a bad thing. Then I'm holding.
So number 2, vegetative cover on the site be retained to the maximum extent possible. Do you have any plans on cutting any
No.
trees, buffers?
No, not at all. Maybe increasing.
Right.
We like that.
Yeah, for sure. The third condition is the driveway be of such size that all vehicles are able to turn around on the site and that no vehicles will be required to back off of or onto the Elmwood Road.
Right. And the way that building is laid out, it's paved all the way around the building, so you can drive all the way around without having to back up at all. So it'd be retained in that same fashion.
So large trucks, trailers, boats.
Yeah, they could
trailers.
pull in and drive all the way around the building and pull
Okay.
back out without having to back into the
Okay.
road. It'd just be drive in, drive out.
Do we, I think for this one and perhaps the next one, it would be nice if we had a site plan. Does the
Yes.
previous owner have anything like that?
I believe so. Yeah, we have the actual plans here.
Yeah, I think so.
In there, in the package, we printed a very, a smaller. Like when there's all that.
Okay.
So they don't- I don't know that, that passes now.
So Tim, have you taken a look at this?
Yes, I actually have a bunch more of these,
Okay.
so.
Do you foresee any problems with large trucks making their way around a building?
None at all.
Does anybody have any concerns about that?
Yeah, because I'll be very honest with you, my kids used to, that's where they learned to ride their bikes on
Yeah.
Saturdays and Sundays.
Yeah,
Can you tell me though, because I've seen boat yards,
sure.
is as you get boats in storage, are you confident, especially as you go around the back there?
Yep.
Like, if I'm a big truck coming to make a delivery and I've got boats in storage on trailers, are you going to be able to maintain that driveway portion, that paved piece without cutting down trees and still having boat storage back?
Yeah, so very specifically on the back side of the building where we would like to store boats.
Yeah.
And to kind of preface this, we're not a boat yard.
Oh,
And we're not like, we are a marine maintenance, mechanical maintenance. We do most of our work on site. We do want to store some boats for added revenue. And also the boats that we would store, we would work on. So they'd be outside, we'd bring them in, do maintenance, and then launch them again in the spring. But the primary focus would just be to have them on site. We can bring them inside, do whatever we're doing to them, move them back out. But on the back side of the building, I don't have an actual measurement, but off the tar before the bank, there's a pretty significant amount of space there. And that's kind of where we're looking at staging boats. So be off of the pavement.
okay, so off the pavement and then in between the building, or, because once you get off the pavement,
It's not far until the
it's
bank.
not far into the,
Yes.
yeah.
But there's enough room to store the kind of the boats that we would typically.
Okay, and that makes more sense to me, like you're storing a boat, you're working on the boat.
Yes.
You're not just, you
Yeah,
don't have them lined up like a boat yard.
no.
Okay.
Like a lot of the boatyards we go to have 400 boats. you
Yep.
know, But we're not looking to do that.
Nope,
Uh,
wonderful, that,
yeah.
awesome, thank you
Yeah.
so much.
You think you might have some winter storage or no?
What's that?
You had said you might have some
It
winter.
would be, it'd be winter. It'd be over the winter. We would bring boats in, typically starting in, say, November-ish. And then right now is kind of the busy season of boats leaving and going back in the water. So it would be 5 to 6 months over the winter. Typically not anything during the summer months unless it's a long-term project, but that would probably be inside.
You have any sense of how many boats that might end up?
We're gonna
I know, but,
yeah,
okay.
we're gonna get all that. I just wanted to go in order. So I feel like we've clarified that number 3 should not be a problem for the applicant. Okay, now the question everybody's been waiting for. The activity on the site be limited to light manufacturing of the type currently performed at WA Machine Company and not requiring the use of toxic materials or outside storage of inputs, products, or waste. So the first line, really, we've got to take this line by line, so let's just be a little patient as we're working through this. The first thing that we need to clarify is it was approved for light manufacturing, which is different than light industry. And I want to be I want to be careful about how we use words and definitions with the idea that if we are considering amending this for any reason, we should make sure that we're using all of the right definitions. So that the applicant, if you maybe for us quickly define what it is exactly that you're doing.
Sure. So we operate in a couple different ways. We're largely an over-the-road repair service, so we travel between, say, Providence, Rhode Island, and Rockland, Maine, and sometimes further. But we go on the road, we make repairs, because a lot of times boats can't come to us, especially the larger ones. But we do, in our current building, we operate a small machine shop and fabrication shop, so to make parts and manufacture things for what we do. We're not a large scale manufacturing. We don't manufacture any parts at any scale, really. It's really just to support what we're doing. But I do have 2 milling machines, 2 lathes, and saws and welders and drill presses and stuff like that. And we're constantly, daily, somebody is manufacturing something. That's a big part of what we do.
Your main role would be more having to do with
Repair?
repair.
Yes.
And you, you don't have, I'm not asking you to lean one way or the other.
Sure. And they kind of go hand in hand. We do a lot of new equipment installation, so new engines or new pumps or whatever else. So we end up manufacturing a lot of the parts to put those engines in. So it's really a hand in hand type situation where one doesn't happen efficiently without the other. But we are mostly on the road. I would say that at 80% of the time, it's usually just Sierra and maybe myself or one other person in the shop, and everyone else is kind of dispersed doing maintenance at boatyards or docks or
Right.
moorings or wherever else.
So primarily the work that you're doing at this location or at your existing location would be installing products
Yes,
more so, or
we do some engine rebuilding.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, engine rebuilding and component rebuilds, pumps
Right.
and stuff like that. And then just kind of the support for what we're doing, making parts and modifying things.
So so the way I'm reading that and the way I'm looking at this business is I think it leans more light industrial. And it's not that that's a problem, but we need to make clear that if this is allowed, that we are allowing light industry and not just light manufacturing.
I guess the question I was going to pose though is, does it fall just under business? I mean, there's clearly kind of a custom fab component, but on a one-off basis for specific parts or mounting brackets that you can't necessarily buy.
Right.
You're not selling those mass market. There's no catalog per se. It's going straight into, it's tied to the service.
Yep.
So the definition of business, which is not a special exception and allowed, is rendering services on a fee or contract basis.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a good chunk falls under that.
I would also point out, and I understand why we're leaning on the manufacturing, but industry and manufacturing are actually grouped together in B under special exceptions. They are not separate items.
I know, and it's
that-
weird that they separated.
It is weird, but is it not? And I think that's one of the things that we have to deal with is they are both together and it's not cemeteries and industry and manufacturing. It is industry and manufacturing.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of my point and why I'm bringing this up is that in reality, it probably should have said back in 1989, light manufacturing and industry, but they were making it really specific to what that company happened to be doing. So I think it would be corrective to if this is to be amended to make the wording match the ordinance and that manufacturing and industry are tied together. Because this would imply, and somebody could potentially argue or appeal the fact that we're letting a light industry operate under a BOA where it says specifically it's light manufacturing. I guess what I'm saying about that is either we let it go or we change it to match what's happening in reality.
Do we have the authority to do that, Todd? And when we're making this special exception, can we say light? Can we do that?
So, and Tim, that's a really good question, and that's actually a question that I have. I think we have the authority to amend the BOA decision under the site plan review. So instead of making the applicant go through the whole site plan review process again, I think we can amend it.
I agree with that. I think this is more of a review of those two items than it is anything else. And I just have to say about industry and manufacturing, we don't have, our ordinance doesn't have a really good definition of industry in there. So I Googled and looked up the land use definition of industry, and it's really close to the other definitions that we have there. It actually uses the same terms back and forth. So
Go ahead, John. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, go ahead, Tim. Yeah, sorry.
So, I think that's why they're, in our ordinance, those two are grouped together, because they are so similar.
Yeah.
We do have a definition of industrial though, so one or the other in here needs to get changed. That's another thing we should flag. We have industrial as a definition, not industry. We have industrial as a definition, not industry.
Right.
So it's right.
Okay, John.
So without definition, you're almost sharing this. Without a definition, either item, industry or manufacturing, you're restricted to interpreting what's in the ordinance. Can't make it up.
Yep.
You allow this operation under your ordinance. That's just allowing it to be morphed into whatever definition past BOA petition. You can't make stuff up.
I'm trying my hardest not to make anything up.
I'm trying to hold that. You agree that the operation fits within the decision Board of Appeals, then you're all set based on, based on the rule definition. Yeah. As much as you have to come together as a group and say, yeah, that's close enough.
Okay.
My comment there wasn't that we need to go by the Google definition. My comment is that they are very similar.
Yes.
I'll also note that our definition of industrial includes the word manufacturing. So there's a lot of circular reasoning here in our own ordinance.
So in the ordinance, we have industry defined, but not manufacturing.
We've got manufacturing. Page 24.
Okay. No, no, I'm just looking at things.
Can I entertain a question, Chair?
Yes.
If he were fixing cars rather than boats, would we be putting this under business?
Um, I don't know.
Just asking, because
Yeah. I don't know. I think, I think in, perhaps my effort to make sure that, we have all our i's dotted and t's crossed, maybe just overreading that line, that first line, and, considering manufacturing and industry as separate entities when perhaps we really should be considering them the same. As far as the definitions go, my read over them, I don't know how, um, they both do refer to each other more or less, so I think they're interchangeable. I don't believe, John, that we were making anything up. No, I get it, and I'm not being defensive, I don't believe. So I guess if we can all be in agreement that this business falls under light manufacturing, which then we can move forward from that line. Does anybody have? I guess my biggest problem with that is the next portion where it says of the type currently performed by WA Machine Company. That right there is implying a definition of manufacturing. But I'd be interested to, like, is it a big deal or not?
I don't think so. I mean, it's kind of surprising that they would even put that. I mean,
They were very-
You can manufacture, or you can't.
Well, they were very specific, and that's my problem with that line, is it's so specific. And if because this company is not that company by any stretch, if we say that this company is like that company, on what level are we saying manufacturing of the type currently performed?
So I mean, looking up that company, they were a manufacturer of fasteners for the commercial fishing, aquaculture, and cage industries. So like lobster traps.
Right.
Metal fittings, connectors. So it was probably stamped, maybe machined, bent. So I mean, light CNC, lathing, drilling, it's all, in my mind, in that same bucket.
I love that the ordinances guide us, but especially with a line like that, this is now over 30 years old, and that business could even not exist at this point. So I think we also have to take the ordinances as a whole and not just one line. And the special exception is we have to deal with this, but we're working within a line that says industry and manufacturing activities. And now that he's actually described what he does, I'm not sure it's not a service. So I'm struggling with that as well in terms of, is this a business? That's where I'm struggling, is that means we can't put anything except lobster clips in this building moving forward. So I just don't want to be bound by that.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Would we do that today? Would we be that specific? I don't think we would. We'd say I think, yeah, you stop, you say, we just go by the definition. Does it fit the definition? I mean, it should have just ended there, right?
It should have,
Yeah.
but it didn't. John? Right,
Right, they're guiding us. Yeah.
Ordinance right now is not primary. Decision was allow a business like West Manufacturing at that location. Your decision is this business like West Manufacturing in a similar situation? Would you agree that that business is appropriate based on a Board of Appeals decision, not based on board?
right, but that's a different, I think that's a different. Do we, I think the question, do we think it's appropriate and is it in agreement with these conditions are two different things? Yes, no?
I don't think you have the ability to rule on appropriateness. You have the ability to rule on whether or not conditions of the Board of Appeals 19 meet this particular situation.
Right.
And if you rule yes, then they move forward. They will know that the Board of Appeals and ask for a special exception based on their particular.
So is it your thought that the planning board does not have the power to amend this BOA decision?
Power to accept the application as that fits under if the applicant fits under this BOA condition, accept that special exception. Other than that, you can't. So there are so many words that you have to be able to interpret. Tim, help me with. When something says a type of business, you have to be able to use a broad interpretation. Type of business. You could say it's a marine business. That's a type of business similar to the one West Machine, or you could deny it.
Right, yeah, but I think, and I think you'll see in maybe in a second, John, that this is only the start of the problem. So I'm just going this first line, so we're just taking a look at this first line. But the second line is going to be, second and third line are going to be a little bit of an issue too. And so ultimately, do we just, because the applicant clearly is not going to meet all the conditions under number 4 with,
That process, yeah, knows what he needs to go to the Board of Appeals. He'll want to know what appeals, right?
right. But my question to Tim earlier was if we had the power to amend this decision. He said yes, but you're saying no.
So can I interject?
I just want to be, and I'll stop everybody for a second. I need to be clear about what the mission of the planning board is tonight. And I'm trying not to make any mistakes. And so I'm going off of the information that I have. If we don't, so I'll let Tim speak.
So in 1989, we had a different ordinance. In that ordinance, the Board of Appeals were the only entity in the town that could decide special exceptions. In our current ordinance, it is up to the planning board to decide special exceptions.
That was my reading as well.
Site plan.
site plan review.
Right.
And what we're trying to do is amend the existing site plan. And I guess I should have been clear about that is, um, uh, why don't we put a pin in the light manufacturing? Because that could go either way for you and the applicant. And I just want you to be aware, we're not being adversarial in any way at all. We just want to make sure that we have this correct. We don't do a whole lot
Sure.
of industry type things. So the next portion,
So the guidance that we have from North Star, I think everybody has
Yeah.
that in their packet. Down at the end, the last paragraph, next steps, I think that kind of spells out what you can and can't do based on the ordinance.
right? Yeah. Next steps, staff recommendations. The board should give direction to the applicant as to the special exception amendment. The code enforcement officer has determined the proposed expanded use meets industry manufacturing activities within the village district. The board is thus responsible for determining the how. In other words, what conditions of the original special exemption will be considered or overturned, reconsidered, and in parentheses, overturned. Number two, the board should give direction to the applicant as to the additional details needed for the site plan amendment subdivision or submission. And then public hearing, site visit. So this is giving the impression that this is something that the planning board would manage, is my reading of this.
What does a site plan amendment look like? Like what's that, is that an abridged site plan or can we just rule? It's not really clear because then they're talking about kind of these subsequent steps where it seems to be implying you're going back through.
I think your task is to amend the site plan that was approved previously. And like I said, permission was already granted to a different entity to have a light manufacturing industry there. And I believe they are one and the same in our ordinance. And so all the everything that they, in their proposal that they have asked for meets the criteria of the definitions and what, West Machine was doing there. There's just a couple exceptions here that you need to decide within the ordinance whether you can waive them or not. That's my interpretation, and that was Natasha's as well.
Okay. So let's keep going on number 4. So we'll come back to the first sentence or the first part of the sentence. Then the next part, not requiring the use of toxic materials. We can talk about that a little bit. Dominic, sorry, I just I'd sit down.
It's all good.
So what type of materials, oils, fluids?
Yeah, the stuff that we have on hand typically wouldn't be much different than what they would have had as West Machine or I do have some cutting oils and cleaners, your standard cleaning chemicals for 409 and all that stuff around. We do keep probably say around 50 gallons of oil of clean new motor oil on site. Some antifreeze, but same thing, clean, new, in containers. Waste oil, we do have waste products, but they get contained, and then we have EnviroSafe come and remove them and pick them up when our drums get full. So it's we don't have any strange chemicals. I'd say they're all normal too, that you would find in an automotive shop or a machine shop or similar. Nothing, I guess from my world, nothing weird, but from someone else's maybe.
Your waste materials, how do you handle those?
So all of our waste, like oils and stuff, or other,
Any fluids or?
so any fluids, so they all go into 55-gallon drums currently is what we use at our current shop. We get EnviroServe drops off empties and picks up our fulls. And we have, so everything gets put into there, labeled. We separate them between coolant, oil, emulsified mix if there's a mix of oil and water or something like that. And then they come and pick it up. And drop off clean empty barrels for us.
How many barrels are on site?
On site. So we usually have one of each going at a time. So we have 3 kind of barrels that we use all the time. And then I'd say we end up with probably 6, I would say. We end up with one set full. We roll into the other one. When that's getting close to full, we call them and they come and pick up. I can't say we're always at 6 or at 2 or 3. It kind of varies as to when we're full, but we don't have a lot of room to store stuff, so we have to move through it pretty quick.
So I think the question for the board, with these waste, new oil, new materials,
Yep.
and waste materials be considered toxic? My understanding is that oil, while it might seem toxic, is not considered toxic, a toxic material.
Any like aerosol cans and paint, we do have some of that stuff. They go in explosion proof container. The fact that everything really for what our insurance requires us to do, and then above and beyond for storage of any sort of aerosols and stuff like that.
Are these barrels in the shop with you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And
Yeah,
how does EnviroSafe, like, do they actually drive a fork? How do they actually pick that up?
they come in a box truck that usually has a lift gate, but a lot of times we'll lift them with our forklift into their truck. A big draw to this building is that it has a loading dock, so we don't have to even go outside with it. They can back up to the loading dock. We load it right into their truck, and then they're gone.
So it sounds like some of the things like oil is not considered under our ordinance as toxic, but anything flammable, corrosive. So some of the cleaning products like acetone or mineral spirits would be.
Sure.
And so the ordinance has a limitation of, for those types of projects, 120 gallons.
Oh, yeah, we're way,
You're going to be
way,
under that.
way under that.
There is also a monthly, you can go up higher as long as you rotate it by month, but it sounds like,
Yeah, we might have probably like for say mineral spirits, we might have 5 individual gallons, separate gallons on hand at a time. Or same with like WD-40 or something like that. They're all just, we don't store a lot other than new engine oil. We don't store a lot of chemicals. We don't have any in large quantities, no 55-gallon drums or anything like that of new chemicals, usually just cans.
so that's good.
Yeah.
That you can stay well below that.
Yes.
that limit.
Yeah, I did. I don't recall what the numbers were, but when I was reading through the ordinance, none of those numbers jumped out and scared me on as to we might even approach it. Yeah.
So does anybody have any problems with that portion of the condition?
I think this is only where I'd like clarity about the building of the outside storage. And is any of this stuff going to go in that building?
Nope, so we are not looking to build any
Okay.
external buildings. I just wanted to allot a space outside just for boat storage,
Oh,
not for
okay.
any, I want everything inside the building other than a couple of boats out back. I'm not looking to, like currently, we have, and these would not be moved to the new location. We have a couple containers that we use, because we're out of space, but the whole goal is to have everything under the roof inside and not have to be spread out.
So just to be clear, we can move on. We feel that under number 4, putting the first bit, we're putting a pin in it. The next bit, not requiring the use of toxic materials. We feel the applicant is okay there. And that am I understanding everybody about that so far?
I do think this might be a good time to give the Yarmouth Water District their concern because of the public drinking water source at the school. And we also received today an email explaining their procedures and everything like that. So I think the board needs to acknowledge both those emails and discuss that a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Were you able to see the letter from
Yes.
the Yarmouth Water
Yep.
District? Without reading the whole thing, I'm just going to paraphrase the concerns. For those who have not seen it, it is available online. The school well is less than 500 feet to the entrance of 614 Elmwood Road. The Yarmouth Water District maintains the well at the Pownell Elementary School. And his concern is that it's worth noting that a drinking water well draws from groundwater zone that can extend hundreds to thousands of feet in any direction depending on subsurface conditions. The soils in this area are noted in the town's own records as sandy, which increases the rate at which any surface spill could reach groundwater. These are not reasons to deny the application, but they are reasons to ensure that the right protections are in place. They go on to recommend a spill prevention plan, that any spill or release, however minor and regardless of surface, be cleaned up in a timely manner.
Sierra did send over a copy of our spill response plan and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Today as well.
Right.
Uh,
So we'll be asking you about
Yep.
that. I just want to, what I'm doing right now is I'm just going to read through this for the record so that we're all aware
Okay.
of what the water district's concerns are. And then as we conceivably move forward with a potential amendment, I think we'll talk in a little more detail about all of those things. No waste materials of any kind, including waste oil, coolant, solvents, wash water, be introduced into the property's septic system or discharged to the ground surface. He mentions EnviroServe for disposal, which you're already using. In the event of a spill, Yarmouth Water District, he's recommending that in the event of a spill or release, Yarmouth Water District be notified so that they can assess whether any precautionary sampling of the school well is warranted. So, so those will be things that we can talk about in a minute. We'll move on to the last little bit. outside storage of inputs, products. No, not requiring outside storage of inputs, products, or waste. So, bear with me one sec. So we already know you're planning on storing boats outside. How many do you think you would be storing at a time?
I don't know. What I'm proposing is kind of an area that we can use, and then it'll really vary on what we have for work that winter or something like that. And I don't know. We just kind of looked at an area that is not visible from the road or other properties and said this is potentially in relatively flat, easy access. So it would be an easy spot for us to be able to store boats. But I don't really have a number of boats in mind necessarily, just an area that we think would be a good spot for it. And
It's not 100,
no, not 100.
and
Yep.
it's not one.
It's not one. I would say 15, 25. It's really hard to say exactly.
So in rough numbers, we might say between 15 and 25.
Sure,
Is that fair?
that's
A
fair.
fair number that we could use?
Yes, at one time. Yep.
Is the area for that there,
Oh, yeah.
To
Yeah,
serve.
for sure.
25 boats?
Yep.
And, yes, go ahead, Tim.
I just wanted to make the comment, for my sake, to enforce this, it would be helpful if the board does decide to do this, to define that area on a plan so we all know where it is.
Right.
And yeah, and that's really the next question. Aside from the boats, it sounds like, your answer to Mercedes earlier was that you're not planning on a storage shed or any other
No,
outside storage?
Nope.
Okay. And, as Tim was saying, I think it would be nice to see, I mean, we can look at this, but I think it would be nice to see, on a site plan where the anticipated storage would be, if that would be possible.
yes, yep. We did mark it on here. Okay. Yep. And it's also on this paper and it should be,
The one in there.
Okay.
yeah.
And so, the boats would primarily they'd be stored
Yeah.
here
In this back corner.
but not on the actual drive itself.
Correct, on the outside of the,
Okay.
outside of the pavement.
Do you know what kind of, how far that is? Yeah.
I don't know the fish. I've been there and looked at it, but
Yeah.
I didn't measure it. And I'm not certain.
Is there the risk of being more than, like, wow, that's a big area you have there? Is there a risk of having more than 25? At a time?
It's, I guess,
Is there some?
I wouldn't, right now, that seems like a lot to me, but I also wouldn't want to limit my growth in the future, but I don't know. I'm not,
I'm just wondering if there's a ceiling of some sort that we can.
and that's why I was hoping just for approval of an area, not necessarily a number, because some boats are vastly different sizes and,
Yeah.
and stuff like that, and how they'll fit in there. I'm not really looking for a number, and we're not looking to
So that
really store
area.
boats, but I just kind of want that area where this is where we can store boats and
I think that's fair, for sure. And, the duration you said would be typically over the winter.
yes, yep.
Does that mean you won't have any boats at all, other than the ones you're working on during the summertime? There won't be any storage of boats? Not
typically. I can't say it. I mean, hopefully we've fixed them all and they're in the water. But the plan, yeah, most likely we wouldn't have anything there in the summertime. We're not looking to acquire a bunch of boats back there. We want to move them in and out and then be gone.
Can I ask, what's your plan for trash? Because I guess that would fall under waste.
Okay, currently we have 2 dumpsters at our current shop, one for trash, one for cardboard. I guess I don't know what the West did before for if they had a dumpster, they must have back there somewhere. But we use Casella Waste Management for our dumpsters currently. And we would continue to use them and probably stick with the same, one cardboard, one garbage.
Would the customers be working on their boats back there? Like, scraping and painting the bottoms and stuff like that? Prior to going in for the spring or for the summer? Because that would generate a fair amount of,
Paint.
yeah.
So in the past, we don't do fiberglass work or woodwork or anything. We're purely mechanical. So I hadn't really crossed the bridge of, I guess, if a customer wanted to paint the bottom of their boat outside. So that's something I'll have to think about.
How long have you been running the business up, like where you're presently at?
So we opened the doors in February of 21.
Okay. And in that time period, did you have people painting or doing any maintenance on their boats in the wintertime?
No, we've done all of our own. We don't have customers on. Our insurance does not cover customers on
So
site.
that's not a
working on-
concern.
Right.
All right, thank you.
It was really neat to read the old site plan or the old, the planning board notes, because everyone was really worried about the sound of this going in. And the irony being, I think very few people in Pownell actually even know that was a factory because it was so quiet, and so tucked away. I think one of my concerns, and it's not a concern, but I think we're worried about boat storage. I think we are going to see that more in the winter because it's so foliated, in there, it's so protected. In the summer, honestly, we're not going to see whatever you got back there. Yeah. I think I'm a little worried about the corridor, the Royal River corridor through there. So just making sure that we protect that, as your boats kind of go. But I think, the only thing I would want to say is that, and only because I just drove through it, that perimeter outside the driveway, so going toward the brook, I think we do want to say we want all that foliage there. You've got a very narrow shoulder and then it just drops. And so the more foliage, if you cut anything, I think it's out of keeping with the original minutes of the site plan because they really wanted as much foliage there as we can have. So if you can sneak them in, great, but I think we really want to protect that shoulder. So that's my only point.
We would be fine with
Narrow.
using the allotted space and not cutting trees.
Okay, I think that's my only.
Yeah, we definitely don't want to do that.
Back them.
Yeah.
So I think that one thing to consider here is the Board of Appeals did put this condition on before, and looking through the ordinances, as John has pointed out, this is what we have to use to make this decision. Can we find anything in the ordinance that says this is not allowed? The ordinance we're using current right now. So I have to tell you, yeah, I've been through the ordinance several times and I really have not found anything there. So, but I welcome people to comb through it and take a look.
Noise is the only real reference, right?
Noise is the only real reference, and as Mercedes has pointed out, it was a concern back then. The ordinance has a decibel level and a time period where it cannot be exceeded, exceeded, two different decibel levels. So that is something we're gonna have to make sure, and we should ask and how they're gonna abide by that.
Yeah, so we've looked at the noise ordinance and it is very quiet, 55 decibels. That's apparently, when I looked it up, is about what we're doing right now, having a conversation, but that's at the property lines, the property borders. So most of our work is in the building, and I feel that it will not be any more noisy than what they were doing there previously, other than yeah, that's way louder. That's way louder than we are most of the time. Like I said, we're largely on the road. When we are in there working, it is we have a radio playing and stuff like that. But we're not. We're quieter than an automotive shop, louder than an office building, but not at the property lines. That'd just be in the building, really. Even if we can arrange a test of some sort, but I feel even if we started an engine that we rebuilt in the middle of the barn end, I would call it, I don't think you would hear it at the property line, really. It'd certainly be quieter than the car driving in.
So I think to me, the important part, the important piece of today is to avoid going through the whole site plan review process. So, but I think as Tim was pointing out, I think it is important to walk through the site plan and make sure that this business does fit under our site plan. I think the point of walking through these conditions is that one, we feel that this business would potentially fit under the BOA's 1989 decision. And then the next step would be to just walk through the site plan review. And before we do that, I think what I'm thinking at this point is that we've started to gather information from the applicant, and it seems like we have a pretty good sense of where we stand. I think having dimensions on the site plan for where the boats would be stored would be appropriate. And if there was any other information regarding some of the other conditions, oil storage, whatever, if anybody else had any other concerns, we could have the applicant bring those back at the next meeting. Because there are a couple of steps, unfortunately, this isn't going to be a quick process. We can't make a vote on this tonight. The ordinance does say that we need to do a site walk. Yeah. Yeah, it says that the planning board under 805C, planning board shall hold a site walk, may hold a public hearing. But I feel we can probably take care of both of those at guess my thought next month might be busy. I'm sorry, let's hold off on that for one sec. Is there any other information that anybody would want to have from the applicant? Do we want to review, take a few minutes and just review the site plan ordinance? That might not be a bad idea.
Can I just add one thing because of the specificity of item 4 about inputs, products or waste? It would just be nice to have, it would be nice to have in the application that you clarify what you're doing with your garbage and cardboard, just have that spelled out in the application. So it's a small matter, but and I just say I'm very appreciative of your delineation of the spill plan, very responsive to the needs of the water district because even though there's no aquifer map there, they're obviously getting water from the site. So spill prevention is of utmost importance as you've recognized it, and we appreciate that.
We all live here, so we don't want that in the ground either.
So if we did an amendment, I mean, all we'd really be looking at is just broadening 4 to light industrial and just industrial and manufacturing and kind of cutting some of the restrictions that were there in the past. So maybe allowing some outdoor storage areas, non-specifically, which could include boats, dumpsters,
Right.
whatever.
Yes, exactly. But without requiring, I think it may be important without, even though we're not requiring the applicant to submit a site plan review application, I think it would probably be prudent for us to just quickly walk through the site plan review to make sure that we're not missing anything.
Can I just add one thing to what Brian just said?
Yes.
That I think if we amended that number 4 to also say to of inputs, products or waste within what's allowed with it by the hazardous waste section of the ordinance.
A lot of this is geared towards new construction. A lot of the site plan is geared towards new constructions. We already have it, so it's,
Yeah.
it's really use.
The only thing that I can see close to, describing outside storage is under 807 C 2 and going down through especially C. Parking areas, garbage collection areas, utility buildings, loading and unloading areas, outdoor storage areas, and similar accessory areas and structures shall be buffered.
Yeah, so this now contemplates that you would have those, not that you would restrict having them at all. Right. So we just need to identify where they are and make sure.
Where they are and make sure that they meet. And that's kind of the point of all this, is that we just want to make sure, just as Tim was saying, that these, that the ordinance is followed by the applicant. Where was that again?
807
D?
C 2.
And that was my point only on the the trees that are there, because it's actually also mentioned in the special exemption as number 2. And I think the only trouble I have, as I'm envisioning this, I think there is, unfortunately, right here, where you're facing the cemetery, right around the Royal River corridor, there's not much buffering, like you're gonna see that, you know what I mean? Like, you're gonna see it. And so you're gonna see those boats, where right now they don't do much there. So I think it's just making sure that we understand that. And do we wanna say like lean back this way or only go up to that red line, you know?
So the proposal on the plan that they've sketched
Or
out,
not.
We did change it a little bit.
Oh, thank you, okay.
We were looking at it and decided to pull back,
You
further towards-
anticipated.
yes.
Wow, or you drove past that cemetery and you said, I could see my boats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did change it on this, just not in the,
Right, I was
once it
wondering
dropped
when you-
off.
Oh, I was talking about this red line,
Sorry.
sorry.
And other than the doors, you are not really planning on any new construction?
No, we're not looking to do any new construction.
On the outside.
Just, yeah, a couple of new garage doors
Yep.
and then, possibly putting the business name and logo on the front of the building, but not a roadside sign. Kind of instead of a roadside sign.
Okay, there will be no roadside.
That's not in the plan currently. I kind of like, I've driven by there for most of my life and never knew what it was. And I kind of want other people to feel the same way. So
Are you thinking about adding any additional lighting to the building,
indoor,
outdoor?
outdoor, I honestly don't know what is there for outdoor lighting. I'd have to, but not, we don't really operate at night. So I
You're
don't,
not thinking about like lighting up your boat storage for security?
maybe, I guess maybe a camera back there would be a good idea. A ring camera type situation, but I believe there is already a light above on the gable end of the building. It would just be the addition, changing it out to a camera instead. But there's no real plans to add lighting currently, but I also don't know what's there for lighting.
So it says under H, so just going down from where Tim was under H. H2C. All lights shall be shielded away from residences and roads. All lights shall be shielded to comply with current IDA recommendations. I don't- So I think,
Exterior lights are turned off no later than 1 hour after closing, no earlier than 1 hour before opening.
right,
So it's just during business hours.
so, so Tim, let me ask you this, so the applicant, whoever would move into this building, under the site plan review, the occupant of the building would have to follow the ordinances under site plan review.
they would have to follow the ordinances, if it's not specified in the special exception, using all the ordinances.
Right.
So yes, any lighting that would be added would have to be meet the ordinance specifications.
Right.
But, I think in this case, the lighting, the building and everything about it was approved before. I think we have to honor that approval. And if there's anything different going forward, then it'll have to either come here or
Right.
comply with the ordinance.
Right. So that's exactly what I'm saying. So I think any applicant would need to be aware that any changes, that they're making to the building would still have to follow the site plan review ordinance. So if you do add security lights, outside that are gonna be on all night or motion or something like that, they would need to follow the ordinance. Even if we don't specifically talk about that.
In the ordinance, though, it does allow for necessary security lighting.
Where's that?
H2, part H. All exterior lighting shall be turned on no earlier, turned on no earlier than 1 hour before the opening of business, turned off no later than 1 hour after closing of this, except for necessary security lighting.
Okay. Thank you. See any issues with air pollution? Doesn't sound like there'd be a problem with noise. Vibration. Heat, fumes. Fire, explosive hazards.
We have a hazardous materials control ordinance. So the end of O references a hazardous materials control ordinance. Is that standalone ordinance that we?
Yeah. Which I don't think would apply to this case.
It's just oil.
Yeah, right. I don't think it's considered hazardous. Okay. Was there anything else anybody wanted to point out? Concerns about the site plan review and this potential business? Okay. I'm taking that as a negative. Yep, okay. So I think the next step would be to plan a site walk. I don't think it would be, I don't think it would make sense. Next month is probably going to be busy. I don't think it would take much time. If we think we could do it, all the same day, I'd be okay with that, but I think with, the Stetson project coming back in June, it may be best to plan for a site walk on a different day. Seventeenth. It shouldn't. In public hearing, half hour.
Everybody. This meeting hour.
Yeah, that's what I think that would be ideal. Because I don't believe that the site walk would take long. We're just looking at the outside. Yeah. Okay. Our next meeting is so this would be my hope, is that, we could wrap this up next month. And in order to do that, that would require us to have a site walk, which we would do, June 17th, which is our next planning board meeting. So we would do that, around 5.
Okay,
Or at 5.
sure.
And then we do a public hearing, which means all the abutters need to get sent notification of your project, which I believe we have.
Yes,
We have all the letters, so we'll get those sent out. So immediately after the site walk, we would come here and have the public hearing. We should probably just do the public hearing at 6, which shouldn't take that long. And then we could go into the actual planning board meeting, which we would then vote, assuming everything is in order. We
Sure.
would vote on your application.
yeah, that works for
Does
us.
that work for you?
Yep.
Does that work for
Be inside 6 p.m.
6 to 6:30? Then go into regular. We'll take you on first on the agenda, because it shouldn't take too much time.
You submitted additional materials which will become part of the application.
Right.
Then how do we frame the 4 exemptions? That
So that is, so that's the next thing I wanted to talk about is, yep.
So to finish the thought, I will get out I'll take the envelopes, get out the public hearing notice to all the abutters, and I'll have Becky post it in the newspaper so that
Okay.
everybody will have the 2 weeks notice that's required.
Sure.
The only thing I'd like, before we get into, the wording of how we're gonna, our decision, I would like to acknowledge the response.
Okay. I have not seen that.
Okay. And I think it's a good opportunity to ask questions. This is the response to the Yarmouth Water District letter. I think it's a good opportunity to ask questions about how spills are handled.
Yeah.
You know, what guidelines do you follow? Where do you get these guidelines and things like that?
Um, okay. So you know what, Tim, I think I'm gonna hold off on that for just 1 sec. And we'll delay for just a moment, what we'll require from you for the next meeting. So, just to review our thoughts at this point is that the applicant meets all the requirements under section 800 site plan review. We also agree that the applicant meets the conditions of the BOA in their 1989 decision numbers 1, 2, and 3. So now we'll talk about 4, and from North Star's note, my understanding is that we can make an amendment to the conditions.
Mine. From North Stars.
Okay. So we can, so getting back to number 4 and the language, to come back to that line, without making up definitions, I would propose that we change number 4 to read, the activity on the site be limited to light industry and manufacturing, period. And not necessarily period, and not requiring the use of toxic materials, period. Well, they would have to follow the ordinance. So I don't think you need to spell out. Yeah, because it's already in the ordinance that there's limitations on how much oil they can use. It's already in state statute, under, there's DEP, there's state of Maine statutes that dictate how materials, oil, and all of those are stored, used on any property. So I don't think we need to, unless anybody is in disagreement, I don't think that we need to explicitly say that you need to follow a DEP ordinance.
But to me, the wording, when you say not requiring the use of toxic materials, that implies that there are no toxic materials being used, which there are small quantities. So I guess I'm not in favor of rewording it in that manner. There might be another way to reword it.
So I think after industrial or manufacturing can be in compliance with the ordinances of the town of Pownell and state laws and government regulations, something like that. It might be redundant. I mean, it's already implied that it conforms to the ordinance, but that doesn't hurt.
But people would ask the question,
Yeah, just,
answer that question.
yeah, because I guess that's a good point, because it kind of it's going to be bound to the property, so the next owner in the future is going to have the same issue, and so we just want to keep it broad but tied back, I think.
I guess I don't think that so if we want to get into toxic materials, I think the materials that the applicant is using, probably every one of us has at our home. So are those really the toxic materials that the planning board was talking about in 1989? Or was it really talking about, I don't know, a paper plant that's using dioxides, which are toxic? And is there a difference? because of the quantity that they're using that would make it toxic over just what we have at our house.
Just imagine that, I mean, think that across the street at the school, I imagine they use some toxic materials at times.
Right, and
And so,
I think I want to kind of leave that in because I don't feel that what they're doing actually is using toxic materials in the sense that they were implying.
Well, first of all, I think when it's a commercial venture, it's different than what you have at home.
Yeah.
So they have regulations, including the ordinance, to comply with. And I guess I feel strongly about the fact that something like a benzene or a toluene that isn't cleaning material is going to be toxic.
Yeah.
And it's going to mess up your water system if you're not careful. So I like Brian's alternative, which would be just say that they're going to be in compliance with the local ordinances and,
Local, state, and federal.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't read it,
And
but
leave it at that, and then,
yeah, because that includes our hazardous control, materials control ordinance. That would be all wrapped in. And I would assume that addresses it. Again, I haven't read it, but that just puts a big circle around it.
and if the ordinances change,
Yeah, in
Yeah.
theory, it'll get stricter.
I am. This might take a while. Yeah, that'd be great.
so I have the activity on the site shall be limited to light manufacturing in compliance with the local ordinances and federal and state regulations.
Wait.
Industry.
Manufacturing and
And industry, thank you.
Or industrial. The definition is industrial.
Right.
Manufacturing and industrial. Not good English.
And then the next bit, the proposed next bit.
The activity on the site shall be, does it say shall or will? It just says be limited, I think we should say will be limited to light manufacturing and industrial
Right.
Uses.
uses in compliance with local ordinances and federal and state regulations.
Do we want to box in the outdoor storage piece? I mean, it's kind of implied, but since it was there and, outdoor storage shall be sufficiently buffered and clearly identified on the site plan, something to that effect? As
or
identified on the site plan?
do we, I think we might want to be careful about what we're allowing to be stored. So the applicant is asking for vessel storage. And we don't want to allow just outside storage in general. And then have the next person come in with 30 box trucks and whatever. And then it's a whole different, so if somebody's coming in again, they would have to go through this process if they wanted to keep a bunch of things outside the building. Would that make sense?
Yeah, maybe because this is the nature of I don't want to get too much into the nature of the business because you get this, but almost like temporary storage because these boats are going to move,
Right.
except for the dumpster is the only thing. Because I actually think they used bins. Because I think they used the pull-out bins, but they might have done that with the office as well
Yeah.
and had the big stuff in the back. So just, I think, I recall, yeah, I think they had 4 bins. So I'm not sure they had, I'm not sure they had a dumpster. So I think maybe these boats are gonna rotate. They're not gonna sit
Right,
there like a
right,
box.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
That might still, that might still leave us open. But if we're okay with having some flexibility there, that storage would be temporary, whatever the thing is that would be stored.
Got to define temporary. It's got to be 6 months or less. I mean, it's got to be something like that.
I think narrowing it down here is better
Yeah.
in this circumstance, just because, like Donna has said, a boat, if the engine leaks in a boat, it doesn't go anywhere.
Right.
If you have 25 cars stored around the edge of I mean, there's
Yeah.
more chance of contamination.
Right.
So, like you said before, if things change, they'll have to come back here.
Right.
So I think to limit it to boat storage and a dumpster, if you want to put that in.
So what I have written is outside storage shall be limited to temporary storage of vessels within the area designated on the site plan, as well as, I don't know, what dumpsters, we don't want to say dumpsters, we want to say trash receptacles.
Well, I think that's kind of, that would be under site plan review. That's already, because they talk about waste management. I don't think we need to add.
Okay, so it's just add, just
just,
vessels, temporary vessel storage, okay,
In the designated area.
In
And
the
then-
designated-
on the site plan, yep.
on the site plan.
It's not a sign.
Will it be though?
Yeah.
Will we have an amended,
Yeah.
like a new amended site plan? Probably should. On file.
I think it's up to you.
We could accept what, if you could put just dimensions on that, if that's, I don't think that would be a big ask. And then we can sign it and just call it. Even though
So
it wouldn't meet the,
I think you have to be careful here
Yeah.
because, this is an extra copy that we have that has a surveyor's name on there and everything like that. If we are using that as a document, we're using that illegally because we don't have the permission from
understood. Right.
the surveyor that drew it, even though he's not here anymore. So if you want something other than a sketch plan, if you want a site plan, I think then we're gonna ask
Yeah.
for a surveyor to make up a
survey,
new
yeah.
site plan.
So we could say, just say the sketch plan.
I think so.
Yeah.
I would be comfortable with that.
Because the original is a site.
The original is a site plan. So the original, that's a copy
With this,
before the signatures were on there. As you can see, it's the same thing. It's just, this has got the signatures and it's also got a stamp.
Yep, okay.
Is that with the expanded 10,000 square foot building or is that the original 5,000 square foot building?
This is the extent. This
Okay.
is the last site plan.
Okay.
That one doesn't, I picked that one out. I picked that one out especially because it doesn't have a seal on there. So.
Okay. Okay. So, as far as, okay, I'm the only one who didn't have a copy of this. So I think it is, I think this is a good time. One, are you okay with that language that we were just using? Do you feel like you could meet that condition?
Yes, I like the language that was used. I feel like that's appropriate for what we're doing there and for future owners or anything.
Okay. I think now is a good time, to sort out, we know you'll be using, some materials that ideally stay out of the groundwater. So I think now is a good time to take a few minutes to discuss the concerns I'm sure the neighbors would have, as well as the Yarmouth Water District. So we've already discussed what the Yarmouth Water District has said. I haven't seen this, so I apologize.
No, no problem.
A
Yeah.
minute to review.
As Todd's reviewing that, I'll just commend whoever wrote this because it's very detailed. And if you've worked in a shop, like, this is great. Can I just ask, everybody who works in your shop, are they trained in this kind of thing? Is it everybody who works in the back? Like, how does that happen?
Yeah, so Sierra, our office manager, wrote that.
Yeah.
She did an excellent job. But yes, we're all, luckily, we don't have to exercise this often or ever. It's just a document that we have that we follow, just like all the OSHA guidelines and stuff like that, but we haven't had a active spill that we've needed to take care of outside of our building. Obviously, inside that happens. Yeah, everyone that is working on equipment has read through it, is trained, knows what to do, knows where all the equipment is, all the stuff that they need to clean up a mess and the correct procedures.
Are there indoor drains on the floor? Like where?
I don't believe so. I honestly don't know a lot about that building yet. But when we did our initial walkthrough on it, I don't believe that there is any floor drains. That's something that can be addressed. If there are, they can be filled and taken care of that way. But I can't imagine that there are, but I don't want to say that there are not.
All right, that could preclude some of the concerns if
Yes, yeah,
it stays
correct.
inside and it's on
Right. There's no way
painted,
for it to get
non-porous
inside
concrete, yeah.
without malicious action. There's no way for it to make it into the ground.
May have. Because the printout's missing a page.
Yeah, but I printed stage. You have the thought.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Better online. Okay.
Yeah.
I've got three.
So is this something you're currently in effect in your shop?
Yes. Yep.
And is there any kind of site inspection or anything else that does OSHA come and check things out, or do you?
Not the way that OSHA has not been to our current shop, and they don't usually, people like OSHA or DP don't usually show up unless there's an issue. And so the goal is for them not to be there, but they have not. So it's not voluntary compliance, but they're just expecting you to comply by their rules. The rules are posted in our shop, the OSHA and workers' comp and all the other stuff are actively posted all the time so that anyone that goes in can see what's there. And yeah, the goal is not to have any leaks or contamination. And usually the big thing that everyone knows is that they really just need to stop what they're doing and either grab me or the manager and move forward from there and just.
So is something like this required by anybody, your insurance company, the state,
Mostly DEP, but it's not our insurance company. They're more concerned with fire extinguishers and meeting local codes, electrical codes and stuff like that, more so than this from what they've expressed to us.
Do you ever use like Safety Works or anybody like that to come do voluntary inspections or?
We haven't, but I wouldn't be opposed to it. The only inspections that we've had are just through our insurance company. But again, not opposed to having someone come through and take a look. Have you ever used them in the past, Safety Works or anything? Something worthwhile to note.
I don't read that language very well. You just have to come out and tell it to me. So Tim's been trying to elbow me. We do have a representative from the Yarmouth Water District here. And I apologize for making you sit here for this long while we hash out our unclear ordinances. Did you have something you wanted to add? We do appreciate your letter. And I apologize for making you wait.
Totally okay. So I'm Eric Gagnon. I'm with the Yarmouth Water District. We are the licensed water operator for the Pownell Schools water system. They are a public water system. So they do have to have a licensed water operator that oversees things to make sure things are done, their testing and whatnot, and make sure things are protected. First, I'm just want to clarify like hazardous material, because I guess the water world defines that a little differently than ordinances do. Yes, there are oil containers. Everybody has them at their home, 5-gallon jugs, 10-gallon jugs, 150 gallons, storage containers. I love this example. I've used it at many meetings. There was a groundwater supply in North Windham. Back in 1999, the U.S. Geological Survey, they take care of all like the well water in pretty much the entire United States, did a study on MTBE because all of their supplies were contaminated. Long story short, the contamination wasn't due to a spill. It was due to numerous small drips of people parking at the church, the gravel parking lot, down the street, homeowners. It was damage. All of their monitoring wells had MTBE contamination, and their source water supply was contaminated. So they had to tie into the Portland water system that uses Sebago Lake. So it's not just a major spill. It can happen in a gravel parking lot over time, multiple just issues. So it's nothing to be ignored. I want to applaud the applicant because their spill plan is great. Like they addressed everything on my letter, short and sweet. It's to the point. They met everything. So great job. We don't have any additional concerns. I think if they follow through with that, we're happy. So I applaud their quick response. They got the letter to us like late yesterday or whenever it was, or this morning. So we're happy with it, and just, keep us in the loop. It's not a detriment to us to give us a call if something does happen. We'll play it by ear if there's something we need to be aware of, or if we need to show up for. We're an asset. We try to be an asset. We'll help clean if we have to. We've done it many times in North Yarmouth where our own public water supply is, where hydraulic oil leaks and whatnot because of a old dump truck and that sort of thing. We show up with 5-gallon buckets and a shovel and get rid of the stuff appropriately. So definitely don't hesitate to call us, even as the town, if you guys have water related questions. We're here. I know we don't serve specifically this area, but we do have folks that we do for contract ops. So it's really it. Just great job with the spill response plan, and let me know if you have any other questions. Thank you.
Chris, I apologize
Maybe
again.
one question.
Yeah.
So it sounds like your recommendation would be boat storage be on impervious surfaces like pavement?
That would be preferred.
Yeah.
Yes, that would be preferred. But, given the nature and the likelihood, and it sounds like there's not a crazy amount, and from what they said, their past practices, that they're not restoring a disheveled boat. So it seems like things are going to be contained, and I'd hate for somebody to have to pave a 5,000 square foot area just to, placate that. So, but yes, ideally it would be impervious. It would be a paved surface. That would be much better than a gravel area. Yeah. I'll be out back.
All right.
Thank you.
I've been to this before, so this is a lot longer.
So-
With other plans.
One thing that I would like to see is to their safety plan is to add a call to the Yarmouth Water District
They had
in,
that.
in any event. It
Yeah,
is in there.
it is.
Okay,
Yep.
okay.
You did add that under 7. Yeah. Dominic, could you speak to, I guess this would be a good time to talk about the boats that are stored in that site. The engines are within the hull. There's through hull
Sure.
fittings. There's drain plugs sometimes.
So the boats that we work on, we don't work on any boats with outboards. It's inboard engines only, diesel engines only. So there's no mechanical systems really hanging outside of the hull of a boat. And, you know, boats, they do have through hulls, but they're not outside of a drain plug. They are connected to another system in the boat. So it's typically your seawater suction up to the engine or a suction to a pump. They're not open to the elements inside the hull. They're contained to their specific system. So unless that system had oil in it, which is not likely, those are all water systems, then there's not really, I can't say there's no risk of something getting onto the ground, but it's very low. And the point that I had made before is that a boat, unlike a car, anything that leaks goes into the hull, goes down into the bilge and is contained there. And the only way for it to get out is a bilge pump or pumping it out or something along those lines. Like I said, we're not a boat like fiberglass or wood boat company. We're not taking boats that need, that have a crack in the hull. We're putting new engines inside of these boats. And so the boats are typically themselves are usually in decent shape where there's no holes for things to leak out of. There's definitely, you're way more likely to have a drip from your car than from a boat. And I'm sure that there'll be more oil stains from cars in the driveway than the boat storage area.
Is it paved back there?
What's that?
Is it paved back there? I mean, obviously it looks like there's.
So it is paved all the way around, but where we would like to would be off the pavement so that you could continue to drive around the building. But we can look into putting, even if it's not pavement, but putting down something on the ground below where it's going to be, where the storage is going to be if that's a concern. Yeah, we can look into some options for that.
I just had one question because I didn't understand this before. How do you get rid of the old engines?
They usually end up going to a scrapyard.
Okay, you
Because
just drain them and then they.
yeah,
Okay.
well, when they're inside, we drain the oil out of them and oftentimes in the boat, we'll pump the oil out, pump the coolant out, and they go into our waste oil and stuff like that. Then the engine itself will go to a junkyard
Okay,
or get sold. If it's not a bad engine, they just wanted a new one, then they'll get sold to somebody else or rebuilt or.
so that's something you guys just do, like, okay, we have 3 of these, we're gonna take them to the scrapyard, or does someone come, are you storing them? I'm getting at, is that waste and are you storing it? And is someone picking them up? So I
No,
just wanna make
we
sure.
take, we
take them.
take them.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't. It's a,
You sell
yeah. Yeah, scrap metal.
Yeah,
It's a,
got it. I just want to make sure we're covering all of them.
Yes.
Thank you.
Does anybody have, the Yarmouth Water District didn't have a concern about the vessels being on gravel? Does anybody else have any concerns about that? Yeah. Yep. Okay.
no, we don't touch those.
Um, I think, can you, Marcia, you have our new number 4? Can we read that one more time just to make sure we're all good with that?
to light manufacturing industrial uses in compliance with local ordinances and federal and state.
Right.
Site storage.
Should we make that 4 and add a 5 since they're new sentences? And they're kind of completely. No, because, yeah, so why don't, let's keep, because we still don't want anything else stored, so it would still be, as you said, compliance of local, state, and federal ordinances and statutes. Yep, that's fine. Or outside storage of inputs, products, or waste, except temporary storage of vessels in the designated area on the sketch plan. Not, no, you would have to say,
Semicolon and. That's how you just tack a second sentence on without a period.
Yeah.
no outside storage of inputs, products, or waste, with the exception of temporary storage of vessels in the area designated on the site, on the sketch plan.
The activity on the site will be limited to light manufacturing and industrial uses, compliant with local ordinance and federal and state regulation, and no outside storage of inputs, products, and waste, except for temporary storage of vessels in the area designated on the sketch.
Maybe seasonal instead of temporary? Is that more defined?
I think I would leave it temporary because it might could be summer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay,
yeah.
that real
Yeah,
quick.
yeah.
So there are times where we'll get, if someone has an engine failure midsummer or something, we will bring a boat in. But typically we go straight inside to do the work. That's would be the plan, but there are times during the summertime that there are failures that we address and, so I think temporary is a more appropriate, in my opinion, which doesn't mean a lot, but that's.
No, I don't think we vote on anything tonight. Yes, I will. Yeah, yep, it is. I just want to
Can we
nail
have
this
that
down.
written up before next meetings, just so that we see it? too?
Yes,
Just so that we get a chance to
yeah,
sit with that?
right. But let's be sure that we're comfortable with the wording as it stands right now. Yeah, let's do it one more time.
The activity on the site will be limited to light manufacturing and industrial uses in compliance with local ordinances and federal and state regulations. And no outside storage of inputs, products, and wastes, except for the temporary storage of vessels within the area designated on the sketch plan.
Did this also include the waste management dumpsters on that, or was that in a different, in the ordinance, I guess?
There is, it's allowed to have storage of like dumpsters, but it needs to be screened if, Or was that?
Well, the original exception says outside storage of inputs, products, or waste. So,
I was wondering if they were talking about the manufacturing waste?
well, we won't know.
Yeah, that's, yeah. You don't.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, I had the same question about the dumpsters though.
So let's see, hold on one sec.
I think after waste, you just do comma with the exception of, what do they use here? Garbage collection. Yeah, comma, and then keep going.
I mean, it does under the 807C, 807C to B, sorry, C. Buffers, parking areas, garbage collection areas, utility buildings, loading, unloading. I think my interpretation of the word waste in that regard, in that context, is more like industrial waste. They're oil. We don't want 30, 50-gallon drums hanging out in the parking lot. But garbage is I think would be allowed without.
I agree. After hearing the word garbage, I think garbage is different from waste in this context. So I'm more comfortable
Yeah.
now. Yes.
Were you planning on storing waste oil outside?
No, it'll be stored inside.
Okay.
We're not planning on, other than boats and dumpsters, anything outside.
Right.
Does anybody remember whether West had garbage dumpsters?
You had dumpsters, you had trailers, you had, and nobody knew.
Yeah.
You had all sorts of stuff.
So I would say garbage would be different than waste. So a dumpster is fine. As long as it's not on the road.
Isn't there a concrete pad out behind the building where this used to be housed or something? Maybe it's a paved pad.
Maybe, I'm not 100% sure. I know there's a concrete approach to the building. I'm not sure where.
So I maybe if, you know, while you're redoing the sketch plan,
Yep.
figure out where you're gonna put your dumpsters and put those on there as well. That
Okay.
way we'll have the sketch plan just to.
Yeah.
We'll be there on Friday for a inspection, so I'll take care of this stuff on Friday.
Costello usually tells us where our dumpsters need to go in order for them to be safe to get it in and out.
Right.
So we could try to pick a spot, but they might suggest something a little bit different, which they did at our current location.
Okay.
You could just label it something like planned location.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So is everybody good with that wording? Yep. Okay. Okay. Again, I apologize. I thought that, I was hoping that wouldn't take as long, but, I thought it might. Is there, before we move on to other planning board business, is there any public, comment? Does anybody want to say anything other than the folks that have spoken already? No? Okay. So for you guys, we'll plan on, as we talked about, site walk, 5 PM, June 17th. We will then have a public hearing here. So I'll plan on having you say a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do. And then we'll open it up to public comment. The public will ask the board questions, and then we will ask you. And then we will vote one way or the other on the amended application. Do you have any questions about that? Okay. All right. Well, thanks for your time tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate, it was a good meeting. It was informative and constructive, so. I
Yeah,
appreciate
no
it.
problem.
Hoping our kids will be biking around there too.
Can I have that nice little drawing back so I can draw the other stuff on it?
Yeah.
You guys will have that.
Think the Staples. White out.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks, guys. There's no old business. Other business, CEO update.
Oh,
Good, bad, the other.
Keep it brief. But that wasn't,
so,
it wasn't meant like that. It's getting hot.
yeah, so I've had a few meetings with Shane Brady on his next proposed subdivision. Met with him today with Natasha, and last time with Ben Smith from North Star. We've sent him away and asked him to come back with more material to get it ready for you guys to view. But I would expect something in the near future with that. Won't be for the next meeting. And today was the deadline, so.
Okay. We probably wouldn't have time anyway.
I forwarded to an email that I got from, what did I do with it? To you, Marcia, from, yes, questions on Stetson's. I put it in here somewhere. So it wouldn't fall out. There it is. So, Mr. Cram, is asking, if it would be okay to, in the two properties that are separate from the property that's going to be subdivided, he would like to move those property lines around from what he had proposed in his application. Taken some from the bigger piece, the subdivided piece, and some taken, given to the subdivided piece. He's asking if it would be okay to do that. And one of the reasons he wants to do that is he's thinking he wants to sell one of those pieces of property before this is approved. So I don't know the answer to that questions. I did send an email to North Star asking for their advice on that, but I just wanted to let you be aware of that.
Okay. It's, yes. Okay.
Which two, are these the existing houses?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So Mr. Cram owns 3 lots. There's the 128 acre lot, and then there's I don't know the acreage of the other, there's the old farmhouse and then the house beside it.
And the plan to take out one of those properties and do some swaps with the other.
He's taking both out. He's taking both out, but it sounds like he wants to make lot line adjustments, to both of those properties and the parent property, what we're calling the parent property.
Exactly. You can't move lines there without affecting the property that you've accepted the application on. So my gut feeling tells me that, my gut feeling tells me that if he wants to do this, I think he might have to come back with a new plan and start over.
Yeah. That's kind of what
But
that's kind of what I'm thinking.
We hire experts to
Yeah.
give us advice on this. So
All right, fair enough.
I think we go by whatever the experts have
Yeah,
tell us we need to do.
I think that would be. that would make the most sense. Okay.
What else? The ordinance work, public hearings are done. And I would ask for support at town meeting, for any questions that are gonna be asked.
When is that again?
I don't know. June 9th,
That's like,
is it?
it's almost June.
Wait, that's a voting date, it's the day before.
I'd have to look it up.
June 9th is Tuesday.
Oh. That's voting day. I think it's after that. It would be a Monday.
It was nice when they did it on Saturday morning at the school.
I'll send an email out, but I believe it's probably the 22nd. It is, okay, good. That's just gonna look that up.
When is it?
7 PM at the school, potentially.
Yeah.
Depends on how many bicycle riders are parked in the school.
Really?
Yeah,
Second.
it's happened before where we couldn't have a meeting there.
I didn't know they did that. At the elementary school? Along the ordinances, I sent out an email to everybody regarding the 750-foot distance between roads. And that Selectman Morse spoke with the lawyer, the town attorney, after the first public hearing, and the lawyer determined that that was unconstitutional. And so that has been removed from the warrant. And then, so we might want to be considering what implications that has to the conservation subdivision versus minor subdivision, and how an applicant might bypass the conservation subdivision by placing multiple minor subdivisions, which defeats the purpose of the conservation subdivision. So just planting the seed to be contemplating a constitutional way that we could guide people to the conservation subdivision. I think I didn't see the note from the lawyer, so I don't know exactly, but I think my understanding, and this is just my understanding, is that it has to do with almost the seizure of property, in a sense that you're telling people what they can and can't do with their property. If you put in a road here, if you do that, you're taking away my right to a road or to do something to my property. Did you talk to John at all? Did you see anything?
I did not.
Yeah. So, but that he didn't elaborate. Yeah, I can't comment on that. All I know, and it would be, what I'll do is I will get the language that the lawyer used for us so we can see what exactly the concerns are. I don't think we have an interest in telling people what they can and can't do with their property, but we do have an interest in having people follow the intent of the ordinance. Yeah, right, right. Yes,
Isabel,
right.
Isabel,
I don't know. I wasn't part of the discussion.
I'll reach out to John and find out.
So the other thing I get, an update on some of the LDs that have gone through. I don't remember the last one numbers. There's been so many of them. But there's a significant change for communities that have designated growth areas. Any community that has designated growth area that doesn't provide water and sewer in that area is now limited to 20,000 square feet per lot.
Max.
Oh. So right now, we do not have a designated growth area. One of the benefits of having a designated growth area is it helps you receive grants. It helps you on grant applications, but something we need to think about. So
What is the 20,000 limitation? Like no one can create a lot that's greater than 20,000 square feet, so they're trying.
you can't require a lot that's greater than 20,000 square feet. That's the state minimum for a lot with septic and sewer on it. That's the Department of Human Services. And, that doesn't mean that it's 20,000 square feet, period. It's, 20,000 feet of what we would call net residential area. Whereas ours is right now is 90,000 square feet.
Right.
So, and there's more, but there's not a lot that affects us. And I think once we get back into action with Isabel, I think that we'll have better, you'll be able to tell better, or she'll be able to tell you better what we need to do. So.
I mean, this is great. I mean, they should need to have some sort of qualifier on this, like if your population size or something, because like these rules just don't apply to larger.
Should run for legislature.
Go Brian, go Brian.
That's all I have.
Bill, did you have anything you wanted to?
Yeah, just saw something about the notes, the letter about the notes. Is there some way that we can have the draft notes, like that was 2 months ago? If we can have them sooner, if Allison has them ready? I don't know if there's a procedural thing.
According to Becky, they're available only on request. So if you ask for them,
Right.
you can get them. So, but she's led me to believe I can't just send them out.
Okay.
So ask.
Okay, yeah. Well, right. Also, thank you for all the hours, countless hours you must put in, and Allison for the incredible notes. But like, it's even tonight, and it's only gonna get hotter, right? So I did a couple of questions. Do we have a report from the Public Works Director on the condition of the Poland Range Road? And if not, have we started the RFP process like we did for Shane and things like that?
So our recently departed road commissioner, he did provide us with an estimate of a cost that we could put on for with lack of a better word, a bond request for the project. And it involves what it would cost to repair the road using a certain amount of materials. So it's based on material use versus rebuilding the road. So what I had asked him to do was to provide an estimate to keep the road in the same condition that it's in right now.
Okay, I don't think, if we look back over the notes, I don't think that's what we asked during the meeting. That's one of the things we asked, but we also asked, him to contact the state for an evaluation of the condition of the road as well.
He did that, and they did not have any mechanism to do that.
Right. And that's why I think we probably have to do the RFP process like we did with Shane, where we get RFPs and then the developer and the town get to pick which RFP we want to select. That's something to look into. And also, have we started the RFP process for the road safety assessment, which was also talked about in the last meeting? And under Title 30A, 4404, that's the Title 30A is the home rule. Section 4404, the traffic, one of the conditions for approving a subdivision is traffic conditions and public safety criteria, and states that a proposed subdivision will not cause unreasonable highway or public road congestion or unsafe conditions with respect to the use of the highways or public roads existing or proposed. The statute also says that the reviewing authority must consider number of vehicles, trips generated, capacity of the existing roads, road alignment, and sight distances, intersection safety, the assessment for traffic vehicles. In practice, this means the planning board can require traffic studies, road improvements, turning lanes, driveway changes, or limits on development intensity if a subdivision would create dangerous or overloaded traffic conditions, which, since we aren't qualified to do a safety assessment ourselves, that would also probably have to do the NRFP process.
Yeah, I think, we had put all that out there for the applicant, and I think that's all in the applicant's, that
It didn't,
to come to us with that.
it looked like it only talked about traffic studies.
I agree. My recollection is that they were going to come back with a traffic study, but to my knowledge of safety aspect,
Okay.
it has not been addressed, and I think this discussion should probably happen with the client here.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for that, Bill. That's a good reminder. Next month's agenda, we've already discussed the site walk, public hearing, and the discussion on the report diesel marine application. We will also be reviewing the Stetson preliminary plan. Yes, no?
We haven't seen anything yet, but he still has, what, 2 more weeks? Yeah, it's in process, so.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so we'll plan on them being there, but we'll wait, for further notice. Okay.
In the communications, I haven't sent anything about our newsletter yet. Did we have a newsletter last quarter?
I skipped right over that. Sorry, Marcia.
That's okay. I prefer to skip over it, but I thought, I don't remember seeing a newsletter, so I thought I could just update what we sent before with a couple facts and be done with it, if that's okay. If you want to review it, I'm happy to send it.
You did,
I did
send
send one,
something to Orion and I.
right, but then that was last quarter and I never saw the actual newsletter
Oh.
come out. So I figured, why not just update what
Oh,
I,
okay.
try again.
Yeah, okay.
I think that sometimes she doesn't send it out even though,
Okay.
I don't know. Okay, nobody knows. I'll send something out.
Okay, and be careful about spam emails. I did get one. Oh, yeah, that's right. I did.
They get your name from the website,
That's right.
our names, and so you'll, and Todd got a spam, and I think one of the clients
Yeah,
got a,
that was,
So yeah, 3 of the clients that have had applications in have gotten requests for the fees. And also it's coming from my desk too. There's somebody's using my name and title to try to collect money as well. I even tried to get paid twice this month.
never click.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep. Yeah. All right. Anybody else have anything to say? Comments?
Just like one thing. Another thing, and they actually all introduced themselves at the beginning. And I knew staff. So I'm just throwing it out there. At the beginning of the meeting, nobody came to our meeting for 2 years, so it didn't matter, but now that people are here, would you entertain introducing ourselves at the beginning? So
Yeah.
that they know who's staff, who works for us.
Orion had said that
Second it.
a while ago and I'm like, nah, we're fine. But I think, yeah, I think it's a good idea. So, yeah, we've never had so much. Yeah,
I think it's a service.
yeah, okay, can you put that in the agenda specifically? So,
Reminder.
yeah, yeah. Okay, I move that we adjourn the meeting. All in favor?